Thank you, Professor Lee and the moderators, and for the organizers for having me here, as well as LivsMed. I am a Korean American who was born in Korea and immigrated to the United States as part of like the Korean diaspora. And I wanted to bring this up because it has a lot of parallels to what's happening with Korean innovation. In Wall Street Journal 2019, I was very surprised to find that South Korea has the most innovative economy on earth. This is what they said in 2019 for the investment that Korea has been making in technology and innovation. And I think that now Korea stands in a position with our technology to influence how we treat cancer and surgical diseases around the world. Dr. Lee has already shared my CV, I guess, but I wanted to say that I'm a Korean of the diaspora and innovation and training and in culture. And right now I practice both robotics and science, treating cancer patients at City of Hope. So I think we have now the power to turn fiction into reality, and I gave this presentation a lot, and we're closer to 2025 type of robotics where AI and robotic technology is so advanced in the world that it's part of everything that we do now. It can't be avoided. And it's here to improve our lives, actually. And they go to battle and they save us from getting hurt. It's also a very integral part of healthcare delivery. And I think that every day we practice medicine, there's more and more technology, telepresence, surgical assistance. And we are at a crossroads on how to adopt this technology for our patients' benefit. Robot use is now a 40-year-old disruptive technology. Somebody's celebrating their birthday today. He's a little bit older than 40, but 40 is not young. So at one time, 16 years ago, when I came to Korea to learn robotic surgery for cancer, it was very disruptive. But as years went on, the technology has been evolved and it's been accepted, and now it's very much adopted as the go-to technology to use for cancer surgery, even in the United States. So I feel that we're in the midst of rapid adoption, and we're somewhere in new innovation. So if we look at what's happening with robotic surgery, which is transforming surgical practice across all surgical specialties, we can now say we're at a place where rapid technological innovation is being now surpassed with adoption, expanding clinical practice, even in the US for complex cases, and then there's now increased market competition as we have today. We have multiple robot companies making robotic platforms, and we can compare them. So projections for the innovation to come, what is going to be new, and what will we look forward to? Artificial intelligence, augmented reality, autonomous capabilities, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing soon. But if you look at our data from the US, you'll see that 16 years ago, these numbers were in the teens. They're now almost like 80s, 90s, 50s. So the adoption, even in complex cancer operations, are coming quickly and happening. And one of the biggest questions that we always challenge ourselves in our companies that create these robots is to say the cost and implementation considerations are significant. And when we talk about benefits of robotic surgery for the surgeon, we will all agree, since we're here doing robot, that there are significant advantages to the surgeon. And I think there's plenty of data coming out saying there is good benefits of minimally invasive and robot-specific benefits to the patient. However, when it comes to talking about institutions and healthcare systems, the cost effectiveness always comes in. And how about in global surgery? So there's a lot more stuff coming out. Haptic sense, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, smaller robots, better robots. But when we add all this technology in, what happens? Do we get more value on the robot, or does it become more costly? Does that mean how expensive will automated 100% robot surgery be when surgeons are not involved? Maybe they'll pay less, no surgeons, but the robots may cost more. So there's I think that at this time we should start to consider health equity issues when we talk about adoption of robotic technology. If it's beneficial, shouldn't it be beneficial to all and not just the wealthy? So there's concerns regarding access to robotic surgery in provincial hospitals and underserved areas within nations and then across the globe. So there's greater inequity in surgical care when something expensive comes. So is robot surgery friend or foe in addressing global surgical inequity? And so I'm not going to go too deeply into this, but I think we all know that there is a huge surgeon workforce shortage. When new technology comes out, we want to know how can new technology help us. There's huge millions of deficits in surgeons and the need for surgery, anesthesia, and obstetricians around the world. Lancet Commission on Global Surgery already did a pretty good analysis, and we're falling short. And low-income countries require full-fold increase in surgical workforce and 5.5 increase in anesthesia workforce. So is robot going to really help us? And the distribution of surgical capacity is stark. So wealthier countries have many more capacity, and the poor are really and struggling. So if you consider what can robots do, like how can they help us realistically in addressing the gap? Well, the evidence suggests that robot surgery is unlikely going to be the primary solution. Can't put a $2.5 million robot in a country or a region where water is scarce. But there may be some specific ways that robot surgery can contribute. In terms of telementoring, which can help accelerate training of local surgeons without requiring physicians to travel to faraway places, and most immediately scalable in application. Telesurgery that we heard Dr. Yuan Wang talk about earlier today with Stark and Savato is something that is totally available and is happening right now, and eventually may enable more surgery to remote expert assistance for complex cases, but infrastructure is going to be required. And so this is a huge thing that we need to address. Lower cost platforms are coming and entering the market, and I think we're going to hear from experts who have used these platforms, and maybe they will make robot surgery more accessible. But even these robots that come out are prohibitive in low to middle income countries. As you'll see, that telementoring has been proven to be beneficial in many instances. Telesurgery is happening, especially in China, using 5G technology. But outside of China, I think we were just talking earlier, dedicated fiber optic secure lines that cannot be disrupted are going to be required. So, and then simulation and dual console training. We saw there's some studies that show that simulation can train surgeons before to achieve, a competency. But these critical barriers, despite these advantages, significant challenges are still facing us, and I think it's time that we need to address some of these as we go. New robotic systems may come to improve accessibility through reduced cost and modular designs, and reliable robotic surgery-ready telecommunication networks may provide the infrastructure that we need, but it is something that we need to think about concertedly. So all these robots are coming out and approved, but as you can see, many of these robots that have come out and or country-specific, and you may hear about some of these soon, they are approved in countries that are already very wealthy. So we do need to consider that some of these robot companies, I would urge them to think about how we can get these technologies to places that are not readily accessible to them. So, I'm here on behalf of LivsMed to talk about Stark. So I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes talking about what differentiates Stark, a Korean-born surgical robot, which is a system that has a mission to democratize robotic surgery. Can this robot help lead the way to find solutions to global surgical inequity? And this would be in partnership when we talk about remote surgery with Savado Telecommunications Network that you heard before. This is a question, it's near and dear to my heart because I feel like I'm Korean born and I practice abroad. And I want to bring surgical equity to my cancer patients and include access. So there was a pilot study of this new Stark technology, which we brought to the United States in sunny Southern California, and we performed live telesurgery on a pig between Santa Barbara and Chicago. So that's 2,000 one-way mile and 4,000 telecommunications miles. So the pilot study was on remote telerobotics with Stark. This is a cartoon created by my fellow, so I can't take ownership of it. But we evaluated Stark, which is a novel robotic platform, not FDA approved in the United States. I don't even think that anyone's actually seen it outside the labs, with a very unique proprietary 90-degree articulating instrument, which I will show you, with built-in remote capability, which is not available on all robotic platforms. A remote Stark robotic console was positioned in Santa Barbara, shipped all the way to US from Korea, was connected using Savado low latency network to Stark robotic, sorry, that's not RAMs, ARMS, instruments in Chicago. And then each site had a full team. We thought about the team very carefully, one remote and one bedside, and we performed 3 very simple and a little bit complex cases: cholecystectomy, gastrojejunostomy, duodenojejunostomy, and we evaluated these outcomes below. So you'll see, I think you may have met, Dr. Fong's not even here, and I think you've seen him in more pictures than anybody else, but in order to perform these telerobotic procedures safely, we do need infrastructure, and something like Savado's orchestration app, which allows us to check off all the things that we should have done pre-surgical in the timeout, more carefully probably than if you do in person, because your team is not next to you, they're 2,000 miles away. So there's an application that we used to check out, and at this time, Dr. Fong is talking to Carl and the team that's over in Chicago. From this picture here is from Santa Barbara in an office, so we're operating from an office. Sometime later, you can operate from your bedroom, I guess somebody was saying. And the pre-surgical timeout averaged 3.38 minutes, which is pretty good. There was constant communication. This is a fellow who's never been on the Stark robot before, very easily adopted with, computer screen that actually shows you the OR that's in Chicago. We're wearing glasses that show us the picture in 3D. That's why the gallbladder is so blurry. He got to do the cholecystectomy and some other parameters of the robot on another screen. And then this is me using the Stark robotic system and the 90-degree robotic instrument, operating in an office in Santa Barbara, moving all the instruments. Mean operative time was 63.6 minutes. We we did analyze all of our data and looked at our surgeon TLS score. And essentially, the stress of doing the operation was very low. And we also had a surgical timeout at the end to make sure that everything was good. So this was the really good latency, 51.2.23. For all 3 procedures, we had no packet loss, very minimal jitter, all of things that are very, very important in telerobotic communications for remote surgery. And so we concluded that in terms of surgeon qualitative feedback, with no previous training on Stark, adoption for the telerobotic procedures was performed with little to no increased difficulty compared to an in-person robotic surgery with the Da Vinci robotic surgery experience. So the fellow had limited experience, but obviously Dr. Fong has hundreds of thousands of cases and high volume myself. So across the training and expertise, it was very simple to adopt to. And we did identify areas of improvement where communication and visualization needed to be better. And these are some of the lessons learned. I don't want to go too much into it, but future endeavors need to continue to focus on creating standardized workflows and guidelines specific to remote surgery, which is happening right now. And this may be across different systems and specific to certain systems. So LizMed Stark Robot is a new, I believe they say it's going to be affordable, so I'm going to keep them to that so that it could be afforded across globes in places that $1 million, $2 million, $3 million robots cannot go. And I'm hoping such systems like Stark will be able to help globalize and democratize robotic surgery as telerobotic surgery as well. Some of the technology that I'm excited to see them come out and I think is available is the 90-degree stapler and the sealer. All of these will be put on to the end of the robot, so it'll be available as end effectors on the robotic platform. So I'm told that these will be available to use when the robot comes out. I don't know, is Steve out there? Steve promised me that he would say yes or no if that was true. One thing that I would go back to again is that, you know, I'm very proud that this is a Korean technology that is going around the globe, and that I hope that when Stark comes out, it will be affordable, it will be exceptional, and telerobotics or in person, it will have the specific technologies that to compete in the global market. So I don't know, how many of you know Elon Musk? Anybody? Yeah, everyone knows Elon Musk, the guy that made Tesla. So I don't know if this is fake news or this is real news, or Elon Musk said something like, going to medical school is pointless. So he's telling me my life has been pointless because AI robots will outperform surgeons, and by 2028, surgeons won't be necessary. So I don't know if Elon Musk would ever hear this, but he is absolutely wrong. I would like to say that I don't think in my lifetime my career will be cut short by an automated robot. But I would say that what is fiction today will become reality tomorrow, and I hope that the Korean technology innovation like Stark will lead the way to change the future of robotics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Good afternoon, dear professors. I'm Tian Yuan from China, the Fourth Hospital of Hebei Medical University. It's a pleasure to be here. Today I will talk about the robotic gastrectomy in the era of Chinese innovation, experience from our teams. And next I will talk about 4 points. First, let's look at the epidemiological gastric cancer in China and the Hebei province. In China, gastric cancer ranks the 5th in incidence and 3rd in mortality. Most patients are diagnosed at an advanced stage, with 5-year survival rate is around 50%. There remains a gap compared to the survival outcomes in Korea. In Hebei, due to the local dietary habits, gastric cancer most commonly occurs at the cardia, and the predominant pathological type is adenocarcinoma. Next, I will briefly talk about the development of robotic surgery system, especially Chinese-made ones. In the last 5 years, many Chinese-made robotic surgery system has been approved for sale, including multi-arm, single-pod, and remote robots. Tomai is one of them. Tomai has reached many firsts in the Chinese-made robots. It keeps removing from multi-pod to single-pod, and from local to remote surgery. Tomai has comfortable dissection that can be adjusted in 10 ways to help surgeons sit better and feel less tired. It has a force-sensing trocar that feels more change in force to help surgeons avoid pushing too hard on tissue. The 3D fluorescence imaging system had 8 ICG modes, the most in the world, and the surgeons can switch modes in 3 fast and easy ways. So far, Tomai has completed over 8,000 remote surgeries, and the training program offers step-by-step training, a simulator with exercise modules, and the remote learning from experts using telesurgery and the dual console system. Other brands also have some advantages, such as single port report with small instruments, single port report with larger range of motion, and the robot combined with intraoperative navigation. Next, I will introduce my hospital department and the experience of robotic surgery. Our hospital was founded in 1955 and now has two wings with 7,186 beds. There are 4,860 employees and 75 clinical and medical technical departments. In 2025, our hospital handled 1.97 million outpatient and emergency visits and 47,000 surgeries. Our hospital also have equipment such as Da Vinci and Tomai surgeries, surgical system. Our department has 3 wards, 127 beds and 87 medical staff. Our department train more than 4,000 gastric cancer patients annually, including 1,200 surgical patients. Since the first robotic gastrectomy was performed in November 2019, up to now, a total of 1,056 various types of robotic gastrectomy have been carried out. Also did many firsts together. At the same time, we also summarized some experience and successfully passed the learning curve for robotic gastrectomy. Recently, our team completely advanced local and remote robotic surgery training for the surgeons from Angola. Our team has conducted 4 clinical trials related to robotic gastrectomy. We have named it the Future series. All the clinical trials has now been completed. Let's take a look at the contents and the results of each clinical trials. The Future 1 trial compared the application of CNSI and ICG in gastrectomy. These two videos show the process of injecting CNSI and ICG and the endoscope. The research results showed that the CNSI group had a higher number of lymph nodes and micro lymph nodes detected compared to the ICG group. Therefore, we arrived at a conclusion that the combination of lymphatic tracer and the robotic surgical system can improve the quality of lymph nodes dissection, especially CNSI. The Future 3 trials is armed to exploring the effectiveness of robotic surgical system in application after neoadjuvant chemotherapy of advanced gastric cancer. The trial has been completed and the data is under analysis. The result of our team's retrospective study shows that the robot group obtained more extra gastric and suprapancreatic lymph nodes. Our team has completed the world's first reported 5G remote robotic gastrectomy. At the same time, we also conducted the Future 4 trial using the 2-MI robotic system to perform 5G remote gastrectomy. The main endpoint is the incidence of intraoperative and post-operative complications. Starting from August 2023, we conducted 27 cases of 5G remote robotic gastrectomy for gastric cancer. All patients have a good surgical results with no need for open surgery or local surgery, and the network delay is very low. 5G remote surgery occurs surgeons workload only a little, but the workload depends on the surgery type, with the total gastrectomy being the heaviest. From July 2024, we did 5G remote gastrectomy with Handan, Huanghua, and Shanghai, and did the first bidirectional remote domestic robotic surgery study in China with Ruijin Hospital in Shanghai. The Future 5 trial explored the single-port robotic gastrectomy. The single-port robotic group has a longer surgery, docking, and lymph node removal times, but less pain, better quality of life, and most first assistant tiredness. Use the Shurui robot. At the same time, we also tried the transoceanic 5G remote single-port robotic surgery on an animal. We conducted a propensity matching analysis and found that there's no difference in the short-term clinical outcome between the 2-MI and the Da Vinci system. For GIST, in the special locals, we use the robot combined with the endoscope for remove. The robot's flexible arms can work well in small space. We also did full thickness remove plus regional lymph nodes dissection for some earlier gastric cancer. With this technique, we can cut and stitch precisely, keep more of the stomach wall, and preserve stomach function. Finally, I will briefly talk about the future of Chinese-made robotic surgery. Chomai was developed a 1-to-2 surgery system where one console can operate both the multi-port robot and the newest single-port robot. Chomai has made many new taps in remote surgery to meet the need of different situations. As a Professor Ye just motion, the future of robot system will go from the robot-assisted surgery to 5G telesurgery, and then to autonomous intelligent robot surgery. So far, Chinese-made robots has completed many autonomous animal surgeries using AI agents or large models, retrieving to some extent transition from Frankenable system to full process autonomous surgeries. There is still a long way to go, but this is a milestone. That's all my talk today. My English is not very good, so please bear with me. Thank you for listening.